All right, this is episode 115 of Pink Glue. Today is September 26th. Please come back to California. We need someone to pay the taxes. I posted this on Twitter yesterday. Come back to California. It's a cute little postcard. It's not that we miss you. We just need someone to pay the taxes. I just can't even imagine what's around the corner as far as the tax bill that we are all going to benefit from these great changes. I put together a little flyer here. Unfortunately, we're closed right now, but we have all these benefits in California, home of the free. We have free homes, tents, no school, although I've been told we were ranked number 47 out of 50. Many are closed anyways. We are number one in welfare giveaways. Yes, lots of free giveaways, everybody. And this is just ahead of New York. No electricity because you know what? We have rolling blackouts and we'll shut off your electricity without notice. No cars. Yes, Newsom has decided that in 2035, he only wants electric cars sold in the state. By then, he will no longer be governor or responsible for this. But let me mention to you, he's saying electric cars. I just told you they shut off our electricity without notice. How does that work? It's okay, you can walk. We have beautiful orange skies. Social media, well, you can use it if they like you. Hollywood is hiring, and you know what? I'll just call it again, peaceful rolling blackouts. Again, everything is closed, but the state is open if you would like to pay taxes. So here we go. Let's start here with Market Watch, and this was posted on November 28th of 2017. No other state comes close to California in terms of total welfare spending. California, with its suffocating cost of living and huge population, is home to an inordinate number of households receiving public assistance. In fact, with $103 billion going towards welfare, the Golden State's spending on the financially needy is more than the next two on the list combined. New York is second, and Texas looks like it's third. Here they have a little map for you, or infographic as it would be called. Public welfare expenditures in every state, and you can see the highlighted states here. I wonder if they line up the same. Well, we won't go there politically. So we've got California here, Texas, Florida, New York, Pennsylvania, Illinois, and Ohio. Wonder what it's like to live in Wyoming. All right, then we have here ABC News. Oh, I'm sorry, that last one was on Market Watch. Okay, this is ABC News, and this was dated September 22nd, 2020. This was just this last week. Census takers head to homeless shelters and outdoor camps. See, they'll even come to you to service your needs. This was in LA, and this is Los Angeles. Starting this week, census takers are grabbing reflective vests, face masks, bug spray, and flashlights and heading out at night in the groups of 4 to track down one of the hardest populations to count. The 2020 census is the homeless. Now, I wanted to bring this up for many points here. One, I was going to show you a nice picture of the tents. Many of them are supplied, and as soon as they are removed from one organization, another organization supplies more. So that's nice that they are taken care of. Basic needs we have to cover. And here we have LA Times, and this says, LA's homeless people dodged a COVID-19 catastrophe. This was August 21st, 2020, so just about a month ago. This was by Gail Holland. When the COVID-19 panic erupted, oh, here's some of the, this is just a city street here, and the homes right there for easy transportation. When the COVID-19 panic erupted, advocates predicted that a time bomb was about to go off. This is interesting. I started doing some community interviews right at the end of March. So as you might recall, February is when we had some of the announcements. By mid-March in California, to be specific, March 13th to March 15th, that weekend is when they decided to close down schools because of massive COVID deaths. And by the end of March into mid-April, I started interviewing social workers who work with the homeless population, because in my mind, I was thinking this has got to be the most vulnerable population. My heart endlessly goes out to this population. And as I mentioned in previous report, many of these individuals are there due to no fault of their own, and many are still working. They get up, they would go to a gym for a shower. Gyms are closed. Don't know how that's been handled, but work is closed too. But they would get up, go to a gym for a shower, they would work a full day, and this would be their home. This is all that they could afford. So what I started to do was interviewing with some of the social workers working in this population. I'm asking, how bad are they getting hit? COVID is so devastating. It's got to just wipe out a population that doesn't have access to the good hygiene, certainly doesn't have extra money for masks. I don't know where the toilets are, and with businesses closed, it's not that they're going into a public location anymore. Even libraries were closed, and those restrooms were certainly closed. And obviously, it's a big community. Many of the homeless band together for their own safety. And so I'm asking, are they just being wiped out? And time after time, the social workers would tell me that so far, none of them have tested positive. So how is that? How is that they can go out to mainstream, interact on one level or another? They need to, let's say, get food, and that can either be from a grocery store or from um, a family member or a friend or a food bank. Either way, they're in contact with people outside of their little community. And then it goes, what if they're out doing a job? They're outside. So somehow they're cross-referencing with the rest of society. How is it that early on none were affected? But let's see this article a little bit further here. When COVID-19 pandemic erupted, advocates predicted a time bomb was about to go off in the homeless community. Many homeless people live under conditions worse than those of a refugee camp. Deplorable, yes. With health conditions that predispose them to severe illness. Researchers feared they'd succumb to high numbers to the worst ravages of the disease. But the powder keg has yet to go off. There has been little spread of the virus in Los Angeles street encampments. Some shelters have had outbreaks, but most of those have been infected, have had no symptoms. This reminds me. So yesterday I had two different episodes queued up, sitting down ready to record, and the entire computer system completely crashed and didn't even come back on for almost 4.5 hours later. And so I was trying to rebuild my talking points today. And one of the articles that I saw was, oh, here we go. This is referencing it, but this isn't the whole chart. Over here on the right, it says, as of September 25th at 9:35 p.m., there were 804,177 confirmed cases. And this is statewide, which I thought that was interesting, but okay. And then deaths were 15,539. But the other article that I had pulled up had one more line right here in the middle, and it said recovered, 0. So not one person in California that was diagnosed or confirmed that they had the virus recovered, according to that chart. Yeah, okay. So blessings. The homeless were spared in the COVID catastrophe. Okay, we also here in California are home of beautiful orange skies. I kid you not. This is what our skies looked like for over a week. Let's just see. This is NBC. This is out of Chicago, even though this is for California. So let's see if we can get this. Nearby wildfires give, oh yes, lots of fires too to roast your marshmallows. Nearby wildfires give Bay Area skies, Mars-like orange glow. NBC area staff, and this was published September 9th and updated on September 10th. This says, a brownish orange glow, the result of the smoke and ash settling from nearby wildfires, appeared around the Bay Area Wednesday. The thick concoction choked the air and blocked the sun in many areas, causing some neighborhoods, streetlights to stay on, and authorities to urge motorists to use their headlights along the roadways. Doesn't that just look yummy? You know, it was really interesting too. I quickly, grabbed my COVID mask because I was so excited it could be used for something. If it was preventing me from getting sick from those little tiny invisible particulates, then it would certainly be safe on my face and allow me to walk outside. But no, I had an extremely sore throat, a severe headache, and in fact, there's something called purple that lets you look at what the weather quality or the air quality is actually in the area. And up at the California-Oregon border, it had it at a 401 by Medford, and one area even actually went up to over 800. I was asking, how high does that go? I didn't get an answer. But I do know that between 0 to 50 is an acceptable level, and anybody past 400, no matter healthy or not, will start to feel effects of the poor air quality. In California, I think it stayed around 200, 250 during that week from what I saw in these areas. Ash particles floated through the air and left residue on vehicle services, rooftops, and windows. Yes, the cars were completely covered in ashes. And this is what we were breathing in. Here's another weather explainer. Bay Area skies turn orange, red, and even yellow. Happy breathing here in California. Okay, then we have the Washington Times, and this is forcing Americans in the dark. Green energy plan blamed in California's rolling blackouts. Yes, we've had the benefit of blackouts for years. And I'm not going to go political on this. I'm just going to state that it is a fact that not only are restaurants losing electricity, senior centers lose their electricity, individuals in their homes lose their electricity, all the way across the state. Just random blackouts. They say it's for our safety, or sometimes they say that there's just not enough energy. Whatever it is, why is it happening in the state? This was dated Tuesday, August 18th at 2020. So again, a little over a month ago, California's electricity grid picked an inconvenient moment to stumble. As for the Democrats seeking to drum up support this week for the $2 trillion green energy plan at the Democratic National Convention. You know, this reminds me of another one. I'm going to pull this up right now and see how well we take care of our resources here in California. Oops, that was what I wanted actually. We'll bring this over and then go back. This was something that was brought to my attention by Trump here. Living in the state, I wasn't even aware of this. But this says California wastes most of its rainwater. California dumps 1 trillion gallons of fresh water. They dump it right into the ocean. And California dumps trillion gallons of fresh water in the ocean. This was April 14th of 2017, posted by Teleengineering Warrington. California continues to dump trillions of gallons of fresh water into the ocean. Do you know that in Northern California, we regularly have water we are always in a drought. We're told we're always in an arid area of the desert of California. We're always in a drought. And yet they sell our water to other parts of the state and other parts of the country. And they also dump trillions of gallons of our fresh water right into the ocean. And then they charge us surcharges for the water that we do receive. Now, interesting, at the end of I think it was springtime actually, I got a nice letter from my water company informing me that although contaminants were accidentally dumped into our water supply, it was still safe to drink. And I'm asking, at what point were contaminants put in? Why were they put in? And what is being dumped purposely in our water supply that they're tracking? Didn't notify us at the time. I think they had noted that this happened 4 months before. and yet we're forced to send out a letter after the fact. This is California. Okay, let's go back to here. Where were we? We saw that one. Okay, then we have CBS News. Look at this. This is not a war zone. I repeat, this is not a war zone. You know what this is? This is San Bruno explosion. Do you remember about a decade ago when there was an explosion south of San Francisco and the homes, poof, gone? I just don't, yeah, California. Okay, and then here we have the LA Mercury News. And it skipped the article that I had pulled up. Let me see if I can go back one to where I was at. So I don't see the article I had there has skipped forward. Oh, but here I wanted to point out that California is hiring, and I wanted to say that because I think I'm going to have to blur that out. It's I wanted to just point out that that people are leaving Hollywood in droves and unrest and taxes. There's way too much going on here. And finally, what we're seeing is there's finally job opportunities in Hollywood. All the theaters were closed. They're not allowed to show their shows. They're finally cleaning up their act. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of this. Now, so that's a little bit about our beloved Hollywood. And then we have the Art newspaper, and this is from, what's this from? September 16th of this year, so be 10 days ago. Secret censorship, what is behind Instagram's shadow ban and how artists can fix it. So again, you have freedom of speech in California. You can use any one of our social media platforms that were founded and based here. However, you can only use it if they like you, is the catch. Then we have LA Times. This is great. There's lots of payouts in California. This was September 25th, so this came out yesterday. Google parent to pay $310 million over handling of sexual harassment cases. These are, yeah, we just won't even review that, but payouts. And again, there's probably a lot of job opportunities in these big tech companies that from my experience are really fun to work for, because not only do they shadow ban and silence the users on their platform, you can just imagine how fun it is inside the companies to sign NDAs and not even be able to speak to anybody in the work environment. Really fun. Okay, then we've got here, this is Vox, and this was from September 11th, so about 2 weeks ago. California just passed a landmark law to regulate, I don't think this was, yeah, this is 2019. I don't know why it said that up in the surcharge. Okay, California just passed a landmark law to regulate Uber and Lyft. That was September. This was a year ago of 2019. And how is this important? So it was called SB5, I believe. And what's happening is Uber and Lyft, more brainchildren of the Silicon Valley venture capitalists, have highly funded this. And what they're doing is using other people's time and using other people's resources, in this case, their automobiles, and allowing them to use their technology platform to serve them as a company. So finally, California stepped in and said, hey, you have got to make sure these workers are paid fairly. Now, I will mention one more time here, as I did in a previous episode, about how fun it is working in Silicon Valley, that I did a test as an Uber driver. I believe it lasted about 6 weeks, and I just wanted to really know what the experience was like. And I referred to it as a social experiment. I actually had a lot of fun driving around and picking up different individuals and just talking along the way or listening. It was it was a great experience for what it was. However, after I calculated just the gas cost, not the insurance or the wear and tear on the car, but just the gas costs, I made about $7 an hour. And minimum wage in California is not $7 an hour. It's quite a bit more than that. I think it's almost double at this point, if not a little more than double. So, anyways, California stepped up to go ahead and start protecting these workers. And what they said is that companies specifically targeting Uber and Lyft are responsible. They reiterated the criteria that already existed to establish if an individual is an independent worker and or an independent contractor or an employee. And Uber did not want to take on the liability and or long-term expenses of having a full-time employee with the benefits and retirement and all the packages that go into that. So they have continued to categorize these disposable workers as independent contractors. And California not only said no, but they passed it. And then in September of 2020, it went into law. Now, what is even more interesting is then COVID hit, and nobody was allowed to drive Uber and Lyft. I think technically they were allowed to drive. However, it was deemed very, very unsafe. Everybody was supposed to stay in their homes. I know in one of the counties along here, if you were on the road and you didn't live there, they gave $1,000 fines. So heavily restricted. But as these independent contractors working for Uber and Lyft, often full-time for 5 or more years, would file claims with EDD because SB 5 had already passed and they had been classified as employees. Uber and Lyft maintained their stance that, no, we are not going to ever count them as employees and we are not paying their unemployment. So, of course, there is a lawsuit pending with, my understanding is EDD is going after these companies for back pay of all the all the missed payments of paying for these individuals into the system. So that'll be interesting to see how that checks out. So anyways, let's just look back at this real fast. This is California, home of the free homes, lots of tents, no schools, schools are closed. Oh, that's what the other one was here. This one here, there was a judge in California orders schools here. I kid you not. This Here we are. Most states are open. I know a friend of ours packed up and moved all the way to Florida because schools are open, children are not wearing masks, they are actually being valued as individuals and allowed to be educated. Never thought that I would get to this point. But NBC Bay Area is showing that as of September, it published on September 15th and updated on September 16th, California judge orders schools to stop in-person classes. Nearly 500 mostly private and Christian schools across California have had their waivers to reopen approved. So they had an opportunity to apply for a waiver to be able to start educating our students. And a judge so lovingly stepped up and said, no, no more educating our students in person. Now, for those of you who are going through this right now, anywhere, you understand that if you have a high schooler who is very, very attentive and independent and logs on to a school platform, then maybe Zoom is a great scenario. But if you have a kindergartner or first grader who's got ants in their pants, their natural tendency is to get up and run and hug and play and smile and giggle, not the same scenario of support for a learning environment. We are so far off base, and I don't know if any of you have ever heard of this, but as a mom, I was always told that any amount of screen time to a young child is detrimental and does not help with the learning process. There are a number of studies over this, and yet our students are not allowed to be educated publicly. And even when they were finally granted waivers, a judge, meaning one person, and I'm also learning in California, most what we would call quote unquote judges are not actually judges. They're considered commissioners, and they don't make the decision. They take the recommendations and consider based on the recommendations. It's a very, very a different system. So here we go. Again, California, free homes, lots of tents, no school. I heard we're ranked number 47 of 50, but they're closed anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. We're number 1 in welfare giveaways, ahead of New York, as I pointed out. No electricity, because we like to shut off the electricity randomly. And by 2035, you'll only be able to buy an electric car in California, which I will point out once again, no electricity. You may walk. Beautiful orange skies. Social media is open to you if they like you. Hollywood is hiring. And once again, peaceful rolling blackouts. The state is closed. We will collect your taxes. All right, well, thank you very much. This has been another episode of Pink Glue 926. Come back to California, please. We need someone to pay the taxes. Episode 115.